Welcome back to Season 3 of Cowboy Cartel Live, every Sunday on Facebook and YouTube at 8:30 p.m. Central. This podcast delves into all things hats, boots, and everything Western related. We're truly grateful for the continued support from American Hat Company and Jobys Hats. American Hat Company, proud to be an American, proud to wear an American. American Hat is the official hat of Cowboy Cartel. And if you're looking for the perfect fit, look no further than Jobys Hats, our official hat shaper. Visit them in Fort Worth, Texas, or check them out online at jobyshats.com. Cowboy Cartel is proud to announce our new online hat shaping school. For more information, check out cowboycartelgroup.com, and don't forget to check out our store while you are there. We have added quite a few new items, and more are on the way. Now let's check in with the boys to see what's been happening this week.
And we're just going to pretend like that.
Take it from the top.
Great. From the top.
Works.
You want the music?
No. I can put the music in post. Thanks.
Okay.
Welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday evening. I'm Joe.
I'm Conor.
And I'm Lorena.
And we have special guest Kyle Keever with us from Firewater.
Firewater Custom Leather out of Ennis, Texas. Sir.
All right.
Serious deja vu here.
Yeah, yeah. So we were talking, what these guys missed was how you got into the custom leather kind of job. What did you do? What did you do now? Why am I seeing a black screen?
Oh, it's the TV. Just
okay. All right. Sorry.
TV went.
I'm a little
TV
gun
go
shy.
dark.
I'm a little gun shy now. I think everything's falling apart.
I gotcha.
Anyway, you were telling us how you got into custom leather.
Right. Yeah. So I was playing baseball out in Abilene, Texas, for McMurray University out there, and one summer I went on played for a college wood bat team in Newton, Kansas, outside of Wichita, a little bit north of Wichita. One of my friends actually introduced me to kind of leather work in a way, just here and there, just a hobby. Tooling leather, had some tools and stuff like that. And I was like, man, that's kind of interesting. You know, it's kind of, how does that work? How do you get into that? So, I would fall asleep every night just watching videos on YouTube and looking on social media.
Well, that's a rat hole.
Yeah, and I was just scrolling and watching videos. I fell in love with it. And one day I woke up and I said, you know what, I'm going to go buy some leather. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I walked into a Handy in Wichita. Kind of told them, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I want to maybe start. Went on Amazon.
Yeah.
This was in 2019, so I've been doing it for about 5-6 years ish. Went into Amazon and Tandy and ordered a beginner set, and
here you go.
Here we are. Slowly got to where when I got back to Abilene, I was blessed enough to have a lot of friends and teammates that were like, hey, make me a koozie or make me a belt, make me this, and trial by error, I started educating myself, getting better, and here we are, 2024. So lot to grow though, lot to grow.
Interesting story. My wife also has been aspiring to start some leather work, and if you'll notice these two cowhide rugs,
very nice,
at our feet. This one started out as I thought, well, she needed some leather to make her project, and so I bought her this for a project to cut up. Well, we got it and thought, that's too pretty to cut up.
I couldn't do it.
So we ordered another one to cut up, and guess what happened there?
Put them both down. Yeah.
So that's kind of how that happened. She has not started the leather work yet, but she has aspirations for that. Now, a little bit ago, when we had the problem, we were talking about how this kind of resurgence of the Western industry and the Yellowstone boom has affected your business quite positively. Have you seen any kind of customers out of the country?
I have. I get a lot of people from Canada that message me, as well as Australia. I don't think I can think about right away of anywhere else from there.
Right.
But I mean, multiple. Where I've talked to them about it, I've never shipped out of the country, but I've talked to them about possibly making them something, and they've inquired about a custom order. Now it kind of went as far as, hey, let me look into it, how I would make that happen. I've never done that before, and then it just kind of faded off a little bit. But I mean, other than that, around the nation, and I'd love to, go through it. I have a map in my shop that kind of tells me everywhere I've shipped, and it's, it's astounding.
That's pretty interesting. We should probably start doing something like that. But Lorena is a pro at shipping. If you need help shipping internationally, she can do that.
Yes,
Yeah,
I am.
I might need help on that.
We have a lot of viewers in Canada and Australia. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of cowboys in Australia. I was just at NFR or National Rubber Supply, NRS, last week, and there was a whole team of Australians coming in. So
Interesting.
what were you going to say, Connor?
I was gonna say we deal with that at Jobys all the time. I mean, other than the most obvious ones from out of the country would be Mexico that come into the store.
Oh yeah,
The
huge
second
too.
common is, believe it or not, Australia.
I would say so too.
I mean, it's probably every week or every other week we have not just one or two, but 5 or 6 that come in at a time from Australia.
Now I was just looking at something on YouTube earlier today. I think it was today or yesterday. There's only like 25 million people total in Australia.
Because everything there wants to kill you.
Kind of like Texas.
No, worse.
Yes, that's true. They were actually trying to kill us.
Texas ain't that bad.
No, not compared to Australia. They've got some nasty stuff there. Have you ever been out of the country or
I have
Australia?
not. Never been out of the country.
But you spent a lot of time in Kansas, it sounds like.
I've been to Kansas once, and that was that
Really?
summer. That
Okay.
was that summer. It was just kind of a leap of faith. I ended up getting hurt that year, got my red shirt, and so I didn't play that season. So that summer was kind of my season to get my feet back on the ground, back on the dirt, and try to rehab within the game.
Okay.
Since I was cleared, and then who knows? I even have some of my roommates, one's from Arizona, one's from California, that they knew that. Oh, big old horn outside. That's funny. But they knew that I started, up in the attic where my room was.
Right.
And there's like, man, that's kind of crazy, because it was just I was just playing around with it. Had a box cutter and leather, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Right.
And it's just kind of funny. Like, they kind of know how far it's progressed, and it's just crazy to think about looking.
Well, you got to start somewhere. Everybody has to start
Right.
at the bottom.
Exactly.
I mean, Connor, you shape hats the first time you picked up a hat?
No, I do
weren't-
nothing about them.
You weren't born that way?
No,
Okay.
no, this has all been trained.
So everybody needs training. So what is your workshop like now? So obviously you've gotten much bigger and you're
Right.
doing a lot of work, probably weekly.
Weekly.
Yeah.
Pretty much every day. I have a spare room, and that spare room is my shop as of right now. It works great. It was kind of, when I was starting out, it was just wherever I could find a desk and put stone on it, the marble
Mhm.
on it, and wherever I could work. I mean, I would be on my hands and knees cutting, and then moving forward, just doing what I can, trial by error, trial and error, and then moving forward. But I do have a shop, and it's in my house. It's a spare bedroom, and it's great. I love it. It's we could always think about, man, I wish I had more room. Well, I could
yes.
also clean up the shop a little bit too.
Yeah.
So make some room for everything. But yeah, so it's in my house, and that's a good thing or a bad thing, is where I feel like I'm watching baseball or something, and I'm like, man, I finished that.
Yes. Yeah,
It's like,
I understand completely. We work obviously out of our house as well. I agree. There's always room for more room. We've kind of upgraded to this, and we've got a lot more room here, and it's a little bit easier. But we're still tripping over stuff when we're in this kind of configuration. And then we were, what was it, Thursday or Friday? We set up to do a school, and we had, you get lighting and all this boom arms and stuff. So it can be a pain.
It can be
in
overwhelming.
in that transition period when you're working from home and a studio from home or a workshop from home. It can get in the way. So my dream is to be able to take this off-site and completely
of
separate.
course.
That way you don't have to get up and walk
Right.
to your office every day. But for me, she has to tell me to take a day off because I'll work
Nonstop.
every day
Right.
because
Yeah.
I'm here and I have access to it. Is that kind of the
It's
same
about
for
the
you?
same thing for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel if I go to sleep early or something, I feel a little bit guilty. I feel like I'm not
Yeah.
not doing everything I can, I guess. So I'm the same way.
That's the bad part about it. But if you want to be successful, there's a time when you have to work because the success will come, and then you can slow down after that. I try to tell her that all the time.
Right, and there's sacrifices you have to make.
That's true. That's absolutely true right there. So, is this full time for you yet, or are you still?
So this is not full time, actually. I'm a teacher and a coach in Ennis, Texas, where I graduated from and grew up. Fifth generation Ellis County and third generation Ennis on both sides. And so that's where my roots are. I decided I coached at South Lake 2 years ago, and I decided to come back to Ennis.
Coaching baseball?
Baseball, yes. Baseball and teaching social studies. And so I'm not full-time yet, but man, I think about it every day. And I think I wouldn't know until I make that jump, right?
Yeah.
If I would be able to do it. Of course, I get questions all the time if I'm going to make that jump, but of course, that's from the people that aren't dealing with the money,
Yeah.
that consistent check coming in. And I'm kind of humble about it, where I know right now I'm still investing into growing my business, and I have a gorgeous fiance, and we're getting married in December. So we're getting married,
Congratulations.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm getting married in December, and then we're looking to buy a house. If I made that jump right now, that
Yes.
dolphin dive into the water right now, and it starts struggling a little bit, it would be a little bit selfish. So
Right.
we're hopefully in the future, it's closer than it's ever been. So, and I'm excited about that.
Well, one thing I've found is at some point you do have to take that leap. Maybe you're not there yet,
Right.
but if you put it off and say, well, we'll just wait, we'll wait, it may never come. And you kind of have to take that leap of faith at some point and just do it. That's what we did. And, it's working out for us. And obviously it's difficult when you start and, but God's got a plan.
That's what we're working for towards me right now.
Yes.
We're working towards that to get me where I can be full-time here doing this as well. Because obviously for you, this is full-time.
Right.
This is your day in, day out job.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, but we're working to get to a point where you can bring me on full-time to do all kinds of stuff.
Well, here's the thing. I 100% believe we need you full-time, and we're ready for you to be full-time here. I think the content would just get exponentially better if you were here full-time. The problem is for me is at that point, I'm responsible. I'm responsible for you, right? So
I got a question, you guys.
Yes.
They want to know what's the website for Firewater and how much do you charge for a pair of chaps?
Okay. So the website is Firewater Custom Leather, all lowercase, .com. You can go look on there. You can also go to my Instagram, and it has a link right there, but you can see all the pictures and stuff like that. Haven't made chaps yet. There's a couple people that I'm in contact with about kind of interning under to make chaps. I think it's something I'm really interested in. I haven't worked with them too much, but yeah, something in the future. Have not made chaps yet, but a lot of really good makers out there.
Yeah. So Jerry Gazelle was here a year ago. So you know him?
Of him, yes.
Okay. He was here a year ago, and he does some really cool chaps.
He does.
And so, I mean, he's always posting on Instagram some pretty cool stuff. So I might be reach out to him.
Exactly. Yeah, we're always trying to broaden our horizons, and educate ourselves a little bit more. It's kind of one of those things where someone messages you and they say, "Hey, have you ever made belt before?" And at that time 4 years ago, I hadn't made a belt, right?
Right.
And you say, "Yeah, of course."
Well, I mean, that's the goal.
Exactly. And you get to the point where you say, "All right, I'm gonna make the best belt I can," and you're gonna grow. And sometimes you're gonna fail, and you're gonna figure out what you need to do next.
You got to learn the hard way sometimes.
Grow on that, and not be afraid of failure. To be able to grow and persevere.
Well, I mean, that's I deal with that same thing in the store doing hats. Is sometimes somebody will ask, "Have you ever done this?" No, but give me the hat. Let's do it.
Yeah,
I'll give it a shot. I mean, worst come to worst, I go down in flames, grab another one, do it again, live and learn. I mean, the first time you do something, it's always going to be scary.
Right.
Dance, monkey, dance.
Exactly.
Yes. Is that rose crown down there next to you?
I thought I wasn't supposed to pick it up.
No, that's not my. I don't have a hang up with that thing. You pick it up.
Okay.
Pick it up. Pick it up. She's hiding the sandbags down
Yeah.
there. So this rose crown. Thank you.
Well,
course, of
teardrop.
Yeah. So I thought this was an extremely difficult shape to make, right? Danny at Best Hat made one for Lorena,
Mhm.
and I was too busy talking to him. I didn't even pay attention to how fast and how he got it shaped, which he did it very fast. And after seeing you, we just did a video of you shaping this last week for the online hat shaping school, and it was crazy easy. I was surprised at how
Oh,
easy
interesting.
that is to make.
Well, and that's
Um,
there again. That's my specialty.
Right.
Right.
I could watch him make leather products and be baffled because I
Right.
know
Right.
nothing about that
Yes.
life. That's nothing to me. I don't know anything about it. So anything he would do would be amazing to me. Something that might be just as simple as putting on a pair of pants for him
Right.
is something like brain surgery to me.
Yeah, it kind of goes with familiarizing.
Exactly.
yourself.
It's
You know,
what
it's-
you do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of
More
some of your
confident.
products, Lorena, can you pull up some of those photos? Nope.
Yes.
Number 5.
Oh.
There you go.
There we are.
So these are some of the products you've made. You do
Yes.
so. What's kind of your specialty right now? Is it belts and
I would say
small leather products?
the most orders are belts.
Mhm.
I would say most orders are belts. That's kind of my specialty and something I really enjoy doing. But the variety is there. It's the options are endless. Guitar straps, rifle slings, scabbards, wallets. I mean, it can get crazy. Graduation caps, stuff like that.
Gun belts.
What?
Gun belts.
Yes, of course. It's the options are endless. Even the hat
Hat
bands and
bands.
stuff like that.
Right.
So it's something that Conor was talking about right there too. Once you familiarize yourself, you might not have made it yet, right? But you're so familiar with the leather and how it works, you can see it, and you almost work that into what you exactly need. You know, you've never made that before, but you can see it in your head.
You know what steps. It's
Exact-
just like a shape that you've never done. You
Yeah.
can look at the shape
Yes,
on a
yes.
hat.
I
Speaking
bet I
for
could
hats.
figure that out.
Yeah, you can look
Right,
at the
right.
shape and go, well, it looks something similar to this, and I know how to do this.
Exactly.
And you just kind of figure it out as you go.
Right.
And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But on that next time, like you said, you're a little more familiar with it. You know what
Yeah.
you did wrong before.
You're so familiar with how it works. and
Absolutely, you know the
everything.
product and how to
Exactly.
manipulate it.
Exactly.
So how long does it take? Actually, that knife sheath that was just up there.
Okay.
What was that? What kind of leather was that?
So that was water buffalo.
Okay.
Water buffalo knife sheath. Got it from Tandy leather, and yeah, this water buffalo. I actually have a tamp press
Mhm.
with a die cut of knife sheaths, and then you take it, you either tool it or just like that, you would sew it with black thread onto whatever liner you would like. I mean, the options are endless.
Yeah, those things aren't cheap. We actually looked
Right.
at them for her, the
Mhm.
the leather stampers, man,
Right.
and even
They're
the
not.
dyes. The dyes are not cheap either.
Guys are not cheap either. No.
Well, I mean, when it comes to making stuff,
Yeah,
you look at that
Yeah.
new steamer
Right.
we just got.
right.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but that's an expensive investment.
It
but
is
if it's something that's going to make you money,
right.
you have to weigh out your options.
Right.
Right.
A new steamer, and just that small steamer we have, we've got a new Fenolio. We debuted it on our online hat shaping school last week. It's about $1,600 steamer,
Mhm.
and they get way more expensive. You know, the
Oh,
ones
absolutely.
Joby's using are at like 7,000.
They can
So-
go. They can go all the way up, depending,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
what you're doing, what kind of volume you're doing.
Right.
It's same. I would assume same with the equipment you're working with. You can
Same thing.
buy the quote unquote cheaper stuff,
Right.
and it will do the job,
Right.
but you'll get a better result for more expensive equipment.
Yeah, it's kind of with the starter pack, the leather starter pack I started with on Amazon. I mean, man, it opened the door for me. But
Right.
I kind of thought, it's not the arrow, it's the Indian, But it's I mean, hey, once I started ranking up those tools slowly, I started seeing my work progress. And I think that was something that was incredible to think about. I thought, oh man, I'm always going to be able to use these tools, stuff like that. But I slowly started
Well, you're only as good as
investing-
your tools.
Exactly. I started investing into those products, and I slowly started seeing my work progress. And yeah, so I
Well,
agree.
looking at it from a hat shaping standpoint, I know you know how good I am at what I do. I know that sounds really arrogant and cocky, but I'm confident in my abilities.
Well, you got 20,000 hours shaping a hat.
I know I can do just about anything.
Right.
But if you want me to do something on, for example, steamer at the store,
Right.
or at the factory,
Well-
or even this Fenolio steamer we're working with versus a Jiffy,
Right.
I know I can do the shape. The shape is the easy part, but my tool that I'm working with, my equipment, is my limiting factor.
Look, we did a video on the Jiffy, and we love Jiffy. We really appreciate
I think
them.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
But we really appreciate the Jiffy steamers.
Oh, absolutely.
We use them for our online hat or for our in-person hat shaping schools,
They're an excellent
and we've
learning
used them
learning
for our online. But the new Fenolio gives us that little bit of edge where we can make videos a lot faster.
Right.
You know, what potentially were 20-minute videos on a Jiffy are now 7 minutes.
And that's not saying we can't do it on the Jiffy.
No, not at all.
It's there again, working your way up in the scale of tools, because that Fenolio at $1,600 is not available to everyone.
Right.
That's not something, you know, a hobby, for example, if this is something you wanted to get into at home as well, you're not going to be willing to drop $1,600 right off the bat on
No.
something you don't know if that's going to be something you want to do.
Of course not. Nobody's
Whereas
gonna
the
do that.
Jiffy is
$200.
$200. That's an achievable price point, and you can order it on Amazon.
Right.
So if it's somebody that just wants to be able to touch up their own stuff, that's perfect. But is it something that anybody can justify spending that kind of money unless they're looking to get into and actually invest time and money into it?
Blood Anna has a question, but I have a question too, and I think we forgot. With all the mess, we forgot Joe being American. We're going to do that as soon as we get done with her question.
Right.
Oh, you're slacking, Joe.
I know.
I have some. Well, first of all, you all remember to like this stream. If you haven't done that, this is usually Connor's job. Connor?
You mentioned it before, deer in the headlights. I'm focused here.
Never mind. Just teasing.
I'll let you do you can do my spiel. You've heard it a million times.
Like the stream.
Like the stream. That's pretty much in
That
a
was
nutshell.
disappointing.
So they have some questions here.
Yes.
They say, how do you keep, this is for Kyle.
Okay.
How do you keep growing in your leatherwork skills? Has someone inspired you? How much do you charge for a belt? They want to know if you make dog straps.
Dog straps?
Yeah.
Dog straps or duck straps?
Duck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a hard word. We never know which one it is.
With Mr. and Mrs. jackets to be out of the question.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Okay, can we repeat number one, please?
Yes.
Go one by one. Knock them out.
How do you
Sounds
keep
so professional.
How do you keep growing in your leatherwork skills? Has someone inspired you?
Right. So, growing in your leather skills, just get in the shop, work on something, figure out every time that you mess up what you need to do to correct it next time, and go from there. But familiarizing yourself with your tools, what you're doing, get in there, put in the hours, and you'll slowly start to progress. I would think people that I look up to, of course, their work, as well as just the people that they are. I mean, Don King, someone to really look up to. His tooling, his saddles, it's incredible. I think Don Gonzalez, that's really impressive too. But you have Kerry Swartz. He's a saddle maker out of Salmon, Idaho. It's just incredible guys. But there's tons of people that when I was growing up through the leather world, that I looked up to, and I would see their work, and I was like, man, what are they seeing there? How are they doing that? And you have to develop an eye for it. And so, kind of the piggyback off the first question of, you have to develop an eye for it, and the only way you're going to develop an eye for leather work is to be in the shop, be the man in the arena, go and fail, and learn from your failures. What was the second question?
It was how much do you charge for a
Okay.
belt?
Okay, so for a belt, it differs. It differs. Of course, the time that I'm going to put in is going to adjust the cost on that, and what you want on it. If you want ostrich knee inlay or stingray inlay, if you want your name colored on it, it's going to add more to the final cost. I would say the average for a floral belt, as of right now, is anywhere from $300 to $500 on a floral belt. And then a basket weave is anywhere from $200 okay, for a simple oiled natural color, I don't have to dye it at all, to probably $350, $375. It just depends what you want. The options are endless. If you wanted to add something up and keep going and rolling the ball, then we can get you something really nice. But I would say that's a good little guideline right there. But you know, it's something that can take 10, 15 hours, including dry time, because you normally have to work on multiple projects at one time just because there's so many drying components of the leather, wetting the leather, dyeing the leather, antiquing the leather. You have to give that proper time to sit overnight, and such like that.
So kind of educate me on this, because I'm not 100% familiar with
Of course.
the process
Right.
of making hand tooled. So I assume, this is just my own
We're
assumption,
good. Yeah.
that you either have stamped or hand tooled, and that's two different things, right?
Right.
Where hand tooled, you actually carve it out. Is am I right on that?
Yeah.
How does that
Okay.
work?
So you have tools, and then you have tools that you stamp like for basket weave.
Okay.
Which is just you have the maul and you have the basket weave stamp, for instance, and that's just a design that you stamp into the leather. As for a floral belt, just to give you inference on that, I would hand sketch the floral design onto the leather.
Okay.
Hand sketch exactly how I want it. Put all the stencils on it. If you want your name on the back, stencil it on. Then I would wet the leather and I would grab my swivel knife. My swivel knife is a 360 rotatable knife, essentially.
I've seen those, yeah.
That cuts into the leather of my floral pattern. After that's done, you would then tool and bevel the lines to appropriate the shading and the design.
So that's
And
what
so that-
makes the tooled much more expensive than the
It takes longer, right?
basket weave,
Yeah.
because basket weave is just a stamp over a pattern.
Exactly. Sketching it on could take anywhere from an hour and a half, and then you would start to wet it then, and then you'd grab your swivel knife. That takes an hour, and then tooling depends what it is, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, depends the design on it, and then you essentially after that you let it rest, let it dry overnight, and then you can start doing your dye work or oil it. So you oil it, then do your dye work, and then after that you have to let it dry completely before you would either seal it or antique it. And it's just it's a long process. So it's definitely, you know, a lot of people, and I forget who said that quote before, but shout out to them. But they often were asked, how long does it take you to make a belt? And they'll say, well, 8 years. It took me 8 years to get to where I am right now,
Absolutely.
right?
Right.
And you definitely have to charge for that. You know, I've been cutting leather on my parents' floor, right? You know, with the box cutter, and to get to where I am today, and you have to charge for expertise for sure for that. But
Oh, absolutely.
It's an art.
it's
Well, what a lot of people don't understand, I think, is you can go to Cavenders and you
Right.
can get a hand tooled wallet for $29.95,
Mhm.
right? It's not hand tooled. It's not. So this is a completely different thing.
Right.
What you do is actually hand tooled. You're designing the
Yes,
piece
sir.
and you're actually carving it in there, and that's probably a stamped.
a one of one. Yeah, I'm not really sure of Cavenders and how
Yeah.
they do it.
Well,
Either
just
they're
as a general, yeah.
mass produced or stamped in there, embossed.
Right.
A lot of it says hand tooled, and it's usually embossed, which is a very heavy stamp that goes into the leather, and it gives it that design. But there's hundreds of them out there, thousands
Yeah.
of them, and everything I do is one of one.
Right. So I mean, it's really cool, especially some of the the
Right.
pictures that we showed and you sent me. All of it's really very interesting. Now I saw some of the stuff looks like it was laser. So do you have a laser
Mhm.
also? And
So I do have a laser. I purchased that. I think it was in 2023. It is a X Tool laser,
Mhm.
and it came at first. It came as just a little addition, kind of on the back, custom made for Kyle Keever, custom made for Conor, Joe, right? And it just adds to it, adds
Right.
to the
personalization.
the personalization and the excellence of it and the niceness. If they're going to be paying $450 for a custom belt.
Right.
I wanted to make, I wanted to have their name on the back where it says custom made by Firewater Custom Leather
Absolutely.
and to have their name on it. But it has turned into where I'm working with a trade that has been going on for hundreds, possibly thousands, many years.
Right.
And now it's kind of interesting where I do still want to hold on to that dying trade or the old Western tooling leather, but man, it's 2024 and we have laser engravers now. So it helps. I'm not going to defer away from tooling leather ever. But if I can add a very complex logo that I can't tool onto a project and add it into the floral and stuff like that, that's something that you're taking the old and blending it in with the new. It's creating something and you're distancing yourself from other makers. I know I did a belt not too long ago. I shipped off to, I believe it was Kentucky, and they raised hunting dogs.
Okay.
And they wanted some hunting dogs on the belt. And I was like, man, I can do that. I can do that and I can tool it on there. But man, if I could get a laser engraved hunting dog on here, and they were like, man, I want a dove on there too and a duck. And so I laser engraved those fine details that were perfectly fine on an 1.5-inch leather belt. And then I had the floral running behind it, and it was going behind it and through it and maybe tucking around the tail of the dog. And it just opened up a brand new road where you can work with that new technology and very old trade that we're still working with today. And it's kind of where we're going with it.
So I've got a question about care and maintenance for belts, but first we've got to get to Jobys Hats and American Hat Company. We can't put them off. I want to thank the biggest supporters of what we do, Jobys Hats and American Hat Company. Without them, we would not be doing this, and we really appreciate all the support they've given us. We're doing 100X American Hat Company giveaway at the moment. You can check out cowboycartelgroup.com/giveaway for more information on that. And Conor, can you pick up the 100X there? Or 200X. 200X. I'm sorry.
People said you have to flip it, like flip it over.
No, he doesn't. But yeah, 200X American Hat Company from Jobys. This is just a sample. We're going to be bringing a new one in every week until we get to that giveaway, and that should be coming up very soon. We thank Jobys Hats for that. And so what colors are we giving away from Jobys? Do you know?
If I understand correctly, it's any of the colors.
Okay.
Any 200X that we have.
Okay.
And if we don't have it, we can always order it.
If
I'm understanding that correctly, I believe
we talked to Joby. We had a meeting with Joby this week, and I thought he said colors. He had a specific list of what he currently had, and I will, when we get closer to that, there's
still some details to iron out.
Right. So the giveaway for the 100X is next Sunday. It'll be on stream, and we don't know how that's going to happen yet because Lorena is going to be out of town. She's going back to Mexico, and you and I are going to have to do this all by ourselves. And
expect a train wreck next week, just like this week.
Yeah. Just like this week, absolutely.
When he says going back to Mexico, it's like, I'm done for good. I'm not, y'all. I'm going to be back. Don't worry.
She's taking a trip. Whether they let her back in, I don't know.
Oh, my God. What? Okay.
But thank you to American Hat Company and Jobys Hats for these great giveaway hats. And more coming on that very soon. And the new Joby store. So Kyle, $500 for a belt, man. I saw some of these belts. It sounds like a lot, but here's the thing, right?
There's always more.
$1,000 for a hat sounds ridiculous too, right?
Till you know the product.
Exactly. So prices in hats range all the way from what's the cheapest hat you can get?
Probably $20.
$20 truck stop. You can't even get a belt at Kohl's for $20. But, so the cheapest hat you can get, $20, goes all the way up to $5,000, $5,500.
Or more. I'm sure there's one-offs that are stupid.
You got a $10,000 silver beaver. You've got $25,000 Panamas.
Look at the saddle that you were talking about, or the buckle set that you were talking about, the Clint Orms.
Yeah.
I mean, his products.
Yeah.
If you're looking at a specific genre or application,
Yes.
there's always the bottom of the chain and then the sky high top of the chain.
I've got a custom buckle, and I think it was somewhere in the $800 to $900 range, and it's sterling silver.
I wear a 50-year-old buckle that was my granddaddy's, so I don't know what it
The
costs.
best ones.
Right?
You know, I got a shadow box full of them that I can dip in and out of. I've never bought a buckle in my life.
So, but to think, you know, $500 for a buckle, or I'm sorry, for a belt.
It sounds like a lot.
It sounds like a lot, but what's the longevity of that is, I guess, my next question. Is it a forever belt too? Like, if, you know, you spend big money on a hat, it could last you forever.
Right.
What's the longevity?
You know, if you take care of it, it can last a lifetime. I know there's some guys that once I started getting really serious after I graduated college, and I made a belt for them, and they're still wearing it and they love it. They wear it every day. There's some that, you know, I'm kind of embarrassed about. They're like, oh man, yeah, I still wear this belt. And I'm like, oh man, that's that thing. I didn't think that thing was going to make it. But, you know, it's like one of the first belts I made. But they're still wearing it, and they come back and they're like, man, I want another one. But it tells you that one of those first belts that I made that wasn't even lined, it was one piece of leather.
Right.
It wasn't even stitched up, and they're still wearing it now in 2024, and that was from 2019. Leather ages like wine if you treat it right. You know, if you treat it right, and the quality that I really try to insist on will last you a long time. Of course, you know, metals and stuff like that, leather, you got to take care of it more. It's just like our skin. You know, it's going to age, but it can beautify as it ages if you take care of it. I know a lot of people order those belts, and they're not work belts. They're belts. They're going out dancing. They're going to the stockyards, or when they have a wedding or a work call or a business meeting, they want a fancy belt that they can wear, and that's the perfect thing for it. But we also have work belts, and I've made plenty of work belts that, man, they say, hey, how thick are your belts? Are they pretty thick? I was like, yes, sir. They're pretty hefty, and they're gonna be able to last whatever you're doing. And I haven't had anybody that's came back and said, hey, this belt broke. But if it did, you know, we would replace it right off the bat, you know. And so it is what you make of it. It's just like boots. You know?
That's kind of where I was going with this, because we kind of preach about boots. You know, put a shoe tree in them. You know, put conditioner on them. What kind of maintenance is required for a belt? Do you have to condition it? I mean, I would assume you do.
Yeah, you can. It would be good for you to condition it. I know for a long time in college, I had, just from playing ball, I had Nakona glove oil. It was a glove conditioner, and I still put that on my boots. You saddle soap it, clean it off, and then oil it to get the good conditioner on it. It's just like lotion. You know, it'll soak into that leather, kind of restore it a little bit. It'll give it a new pop, but you'll still have that nice leather sheen on it, where it's supposed to be. But it to me, I mean, it ages like wine. You know, you wear it for a while, and then it ages, kind of starts growing on you, and starts. I think it looks better after about 5 years. You know, but that's might be a little biased. But
yeah.
There
you go.
I have a question.
Yes.
All right.
Has Kyle made anything for any big name people?
I mean, depends who you are, and it might be a little biased, but I made one. I partnered with the Polka Fest, National Polka Fest in Ennis, Texas. We're a Czech town, and I partnered with them and made Josh Abbott a guitar strap. So that was really cool. That was kind of one of the bigger names. There are some artists that are getting pretty big out there that are that I've made guitar straps for. And then I recently partnered with the Oklahoma Wildcatters.
Pull that video up, please.
The PBR teams, Oklahoma Wildcatters bull riding team, and got them an order of team belts. So that was a blessing to be able to do that, and JB Mooney, and be able to meet him and stuff like that. That was a blessing to be able to do that. And get that done. So that was definitely a staple for me. But, you know, we're just investing in ourselves and growing, and blessed to be where we are, and so forth.
So how did you get in with the Wildcatters there? And like, how did that all come about?
So I have a LinkedIn. It's just like it's my personal LinkedIn for custom leather work and stuff. And I actually got in touch with Preston Lyon. He's kind of the he's a part owner, and then has a lot to do with the Wildcatters. And we just got to talking about getting some team belts for him. We were able to make it happen. And then they actually had the Rattler Days about a month ago or so, maybe less than a month, here in Fort Worth.
Okay.
So they had the Rattler Days, and I said, man, that'll be perfect to be able to bring that up there. And just present them to the guys and just let them know that they are the men in the arena and we appreciate them and we want them to have good quality belts to give a good quality ride. And so I'm lucky and blessed to be able to partner with them and kind of be in their side of the arena,
Right.
and be able to do that. So that was a blessing to be able to do that, and it was big for my business.
It was a pretty cool opportunity,
Yes, it was.
absolutely. And I'm sure they all appreciate the belts.
Right.
They look pretty cool. And that was kind of the one I saw. Those were laser.
Those were all laser engraved. They were rough out belts, 1.5 inch, lined with pig belly, and they were pretty thick, and they were laser engraved. I put the Oklahoma outline, their logo, the Wildcatters kind of as you can see in that video right there, and then I had their initials on the end put on. So those were rough out. That's kind of a good little style for a belt that you might rough up a little bit, or a good little work belt.
Right.
But yeah, those were all laser engraved. You can tool rough outs, but making 16 belts, I was I was worried about the quality and then being able to last. If it
Right.
gets stomped down by a bull, I would like for my leather belt to last, and as well as the bull rider. But
Right.
laser engraving them, I knew that they were going to get in there and put them to use, so I wanted them to have the personalization, but not cost them too much or
Sure.
something like that, right?
Sure. Yeah, and that's actually how we
Yes,
got together, was
LinkedIn.
we found each other on LinkedIn too. So LinkedIn is a great tool for
It
business.
is. It is.
So have you found any more kind of opportunities through LinkedIn like that?
I have.
What's your
but
biggest, I guess, social media platform? What would you use
I
the
would
most?
probably say majority of the orders, I would say it's either Instagram or TikTok.
Mhm.
TikTok, I started at TikTok right when I graduated, and I just made kind of tutorial videos
Right.
about leather work and how that works, some of my products, and that took off. And then there's a direct link from my TikTok to my Instagram. So the Instagram does work wonders and it does help. I would say TikTok's probably still the number one pull factor there.
Okay.
But when I was starting out, man, it was Snapchat.
Huh.
I would post on my Snapchat story, and then my friends back home would say, "Man, you need to make me something." I'd be like, "Okay," and I'd make it, and then be like, "Hey, here it is," where's my money? And then start growing like that. But I forget how much Snapchat really impacted the early ages of my leatherworking, but I would say probably TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok and Instagram.
TikTok's crazy.
It's a dangerous rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I'll watch leather tooling video. I know nothing about that.
Yeah.
No, me
nothing.
either.
But I'll sit there and watch it. Go, that's cool. I mean,
Yes.
it's
Mhm.
then again, that's just mindless scrolling. But I can get invested, and maybe that's the ADHD talking, where I'll hyper fixate on it for a few days and just like I want to know everything about this.
I don't think I've ever gone that deep into it, but
Good luck.
that's how I do know what a swivel knife is, just watching those kind of videos and having them pop up on my feed. I've gone deep into cowboy boots, though. I could tell you how a
Right.
cowboy boot is made, and I watch those all the time.
It's crazy listening to you talk about all this, the similarities in the way you're explaining the trade and how to get into it, how to learn it. Because I'm sitting here going, that is most of the things you are saying about how to do it. And the best way to learn is basically just like what we preach about shaping.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's insane listening to a different perspective of a different industry. Well, I wouldn't say different industry, but a different side of
Oh,
the
yeah.
industry,
Right,
doing
different
something
branch.
completely different.
Right.
Talking about it as if you were talking about shaping hats.
Right.
Just a different vocabulary, but the same exact stuff. That's
Right.
kind of cool sitting here listening to it from that
Exactly.
aspect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Speaking of hats, noticed you were wearing an American hat in that
I am.
video there, and then
Yeah, American right here too.
there you go.
That's a 850 or 845.
Is that a bang or not a bang?
No, it's a polyrope.
Polyrope, yeah.
I think it's the 850.
Yeah, I love this hat. This is my favorite one actually. Yeah.
I've always
So-
loved that style.
Yeah. So was that a different hat in the?
That was a different hat in the
Yeah, it
video.
looked like it.
Yeah, different hat, different shape on it. But that was kind of more of a work hat, I guess, something to
Okay.
wear just around. And
The big American hat wearer, or
big
just the
American,
straws, or
big American. Well, straws. If it's hot out, I'm gonna wear
right?
straws, and if it's it's starting to get hopefully where it's gonna be felt season pretty quick. goodness
97
gracious.
degrees yesterday.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
Tuesday's
so
supposed to be nice though.
I got them.
Yeah.
I got them ready. I got them ready to whip out. I just need Mother Nature to take the wheel there and make
Alright.
that happen. But
Or
yeah,
if you need to get them cleaned up, I know a place.
hey,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. But yeah, it's started to get to the point. I mean, I played baseball my whole life. Been wearing hats my whole life.
Yeah.
Right. And it got to the point where obviously I was doing leather work, but can't wear a Texas Rangers cap or a Braves cap into a nice restaurant or
True,
something like
true.
that. And it the hair up top was going away slowly, and we're not going to get into that. But and it started where I did have the love for cowboy hats and something like that, and where I could it was part of who I was and my identity and what I and being in the trade and everything like that. And it's just it grew on me where I could start doing that.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Speaking of hats and leather,
Right.
I have to ask, have you seen, I don't remember what it is. I don't remember if it was a Larry Mahan or some of the stats. I think it was Larry Mahan. I've seen some of their hats, their felts, that have the tooled leather band on the inside, not the outside, but the inside hat
Yeah,
band is
that's
tooled.
The Larry Mahan 1000X, I believe.
Interesting.
Have you seen one of those before?
Well, I
Have you
haven't,
seen
because
anything like that?
that's interesting to think about, because in order to tool leather, it has to be a certain thickness,
Mhm.
okay, which is in leatherworking talk, it's ounce. Okay, the higher the ounce, the thicker it is.
Mhm.
But if it's 1 ounce and it's thin, like most hat liners,
Yeah, like the bands in the hat we're wearing.
you can't really tool it. I mean, you're gonna cut your swivel knife's gonna cut through it.
They
It's
were
kinda
thick
interesting.
bands. I'll give them
Yeah,
that.
they're
I've messed
thick.
with
They
a
are
few.
very thick.
They are very
Interesting.
thick.
You'll
Which-
you'll have to send those to me. That's interesting to think about, and them having to sew them in there as well.
It kind of
So-
takes on a different thing, because now you start messing with a thicker band. Well, you got to make the hat bigger. You
Yeah.
got to go up a size.
True. And can
Calculated
you
in,
imagine
yeah.
trying to sweat that in?
Oh.
Well, not even that. My thoughts on that were I've seen them quite a few times. People will bring them in,
Interesting.
whether it's a Larry Mahan or even some of the other brand customs, things like that have tooled leather bands. It looks pretty.
It
Yeah,
does.
Obviously,
does.
tooled leather looks gorgeous.
Who's going to see it?
Well, not only that,
yeah,
think about, what do you feel on your head right now wearing your hat? You feel the leather.
yeah.
And it's nice and smooth.
Take your hat off, and you have a flower imprint.
You
in
have
the middle of your-
flowers, or you have 500X wrote on your hat, on your forehead backwards.
Right.
I wonder if it's comfortable to wear. That's just,
I-
there again,
my-
ADHD thought process. I wonder if it's
my
comfortable.
first take that it would not be comfortable, but
You wouldn't think it
I
would.
wouldn't think so.
I mean,
I would-
especially, if you're somebody that wears a hat back here where it's in your hair, yeah, it's fine. But when you actually suck it down on your head, I wouldn't think that would be comfortable,
I
but
don't think so.
it looks cool. I won't lie. It looks
I
cool.
mean,
Sounds
yeah. I mean,
cool.
I guess if you're, you're going to hang it.
if
look
it's a
at it.
display,
Yeah.
But even there, if it's a display, you want it sitting this way where people can see the hat. Who's going to
Mhm.
display their hat from the inside out?
Interesting to
I don't
think
know.
about.
Just something random. If I come across one, I'll take a picture and I'll send it to you.
I think we've got a picture of one, because that 1000X Larry Mahan comes with I believe it's a hand tooled box too.
The box, yes, the box is tooled as well.
So,
Wow.
there's
I mean,
a
we sold
video.
Wow.
We sold a
Okay.
Presidente Stetson yesterday,
Yeah.
and it had the box, the velvet inserts, and everything. It's like, oh, that's pretty. But
Well, we did
Very
a
nice.
video at El Herradera.
El herradero.
Thank you. In
De nada.
Yep.
she did not like the way you pronounce that, is what she
No.
means.
Here to serve and translate.
in Hobbs, New Mexico.
Mhm.
Yes.
The Hobbs, I think it was Hobbs, and they had the 1000X Larry Mahan, and it has the tooled inside and then the box.
And I think the 500 does as well.
does it. Okay.
I've seen it. I've seen a tooled leather band that said 500X before.
Interesting.
There again, I cannot remember if it was a Larry Mahan or if it was just a different, like a custom brand or something.
I don't know. It doesn't look comfortable to me. How about boots though? What are you wearing?
These are Justin.
Okay.
I have a couple other pairs of Justin. I do have, just being in the leather industry, a couple friends, colleagues that do make custom boots. But of course, that's an investment as well.
Absolutely.
It's kind of one of those things.
Absolutely.
And don't get me wrong, guys. Like, it's, I can't even afford my own stuff, right? I can't afford a custom belt. So it's one
That's
of those
okay.
things. So it's I Justin's, and then unfortunately my grandpa passed away a couple months ago, and I have one of his as well. and I'm not really sure what brand that is. I believe it's Justin as well, Justin Roper. But yeah, Justin, I've had Anderson Beam, and so yeah.
Yeah, I kind of figured being in the leather kind of side of it, you'd have an opinion on
Right.
boots. We're huge American-made product fan,
Of course.
and any kind of small business or buy local, all of that stuff. That's why we love kind of talking to guys like you who are making products right here in Texas.
Got to support them.
Absolutely. So it's just really great. Yes, you have a question.
I have a very interesting question here for Kyle.
Okay.
Robert Ward asks, if you could make a leather product for anyone in the world, guitar, strap, belt, etc., who would it be for?
Oh man, anybody in the world. Woo!
Living or non-living,
Ooh.
doesn't matter. Open it up.
Okay, so
Open it
either
up.
one. Man, we're gonna have to go. Okay, living. We're gonna have to go Randy Travis or George Strait.
George
All right.
Strait.
You get me on.
Okay.
You get me on
I
a
support
guitar
either one of
strap.
those.
Guitar strap. I don't know if I said that, but you get me on a George Strait guitar strap or Randy Travis guitar strap, where I can just lay it out and think of everything Randy Travis or everything George Strait and implement that. That's one of my favorite things to do, is just to lay it out, blank piece of leather, 3 inches wide, and you can just lay down so many things, and they'll tell you what they want. But if you're making it for them, and you can just lay out everything and all the designs and be able to lay it and then have the floral running around it and up and down, and that would be a dream for sure.
You have
right?
me. You have me at Randy Travis and
Yeah,
George.
yeah, it
I'm all
happens.
for it.
Yeah.
I support
So if y'all
that
know
100%.
them, right? If y'all know them,
Tag Kyle.
I mean-
tag them. I'll make it for them. We'll make a video about it.
When I've worked at Dinard's in Whitesboro, Texas, Randy Travis came in one day when I was up there doing an event. He just came in, and I'm over there working, and everybody in the store is fangirling and trying to go over there and take pictures.
That person.
Believe me, I wanted to. I wanted
That would
to.
be me.
Absolutely. But I'm like, I'm working. I don't know if that's acceptable. And I'm watching all the store employees and all the fans, just customers in the store coming over taking pictures. I'm like, I should have. hate it here. That was my thought. Really. That was my thought. It's like, I'm working and I can't do that.
Have you seen anybody interesting come into Jobys that kind of surprised you?
Don't get me wrong. We have a lot of famous people that come in and out of there.
Right.
But
They're all Hispanic.
yes, I was trying to think, how can I say that without
Yes.
sounding just indifferent or insensitive to it?
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that have come in that people are like, do you know who that was? No.
Nope.
But
Los
that,
Pescadores, Grupo Frontera.
all kinds of
Yes.
groups and everything like that. Well, but even going as far as American working at the
Right.
factory too, the amount of people in the rodeo world that would
Oh,
come
yeah.
in
Oh, yeah,
that I
sure.
didn't know. I didn't know who they were, but people would lose their minds. You know who that was? Nope. To me, they're just normal people,
Yes.
which I would think if you're that big, there would come a point you want to be treated just as if somebody doesn't know who you are
For sure.
to get you that
Yeah.
normalcy.
Yeah.
So-
I'm sure.
I'm sure we've had a lot of people come in, but I just don't know who they are. And
Right.
that's a failure on my part, I will admit. But I am still learning. Don't look at me like that. I'm
That's
still learning
just
the
how
culture.
I feel right now, you guys, because you are, saying all these names, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
I'm still learning. Obviously, I'm
Randy
still learning that
Travis,
culture.
who she says?
Yeah,
Lord.
sorry.
You listen to some of his stuff on the
I'm
way
not
back
from
from
town.
Houston.
What's that?
You listen to some of his stuff on the way back from Houston.
Oh, are
Oh.
we talking about Houston now?
No.
Is it
Have you
not- we're
forgiven
not.
Houston yet?
No,
okay,
no, I have
still
not. I've actually
Too soon.
I've laid into a couple of customers for living. I in hate Houston it that have been here. in the store. I've had
He's
a couple of
sour about
customers have every right to be. Until my
Okay.
truck is fixed, I will be sour.
Oh no.
It was fixed the next day.
The
Kinda.
gouges in the door and the
Ah.
hole in the bed cover.
That's your fault.
Listen here, ma'am. Listen here.
Oh, I'm having
The
fun with
comedic
this.
timing is great. I'll give you that. I will give you that.
You
The
did a good
You're
comedic
job.
timing is
welcome.
great.
You're welcome.
But listen here.
Oh my.
How's that for derailed?
Yes, yes, you do. That's what you're here for.
Like I said, I'm here to derail you. I will let this man talk. I'm learning. This is making my ADHD happy. But
All right.
you, I will derail
Well,
you.
do
any
you
day.
have any questions for him?
Nothing that would be educated.
Okay.
Someone wants to know where they can get a custom buckle set for a cowboy hat.
Clint Orms. I mean, how much you want to spend?
That's the
I
question.
don't know.
That's the question, right?
Not Clint Orms.
Yeah, I don't have Clint Orms money. I mean, they're more than a hat. You know,
I might have Clint Orms money if my truck hadn't been broken into.
that's true. That's true. I mean, we saw them for $67,000
for a buckle set on a hat.
For a buckle set on a hat.
It can get up there. I know that.
But I mean, there again, you could get something. I would assume there's stuff that's leather tooled that could get up in that range too. Look at the saddle.
There is
That saddle.
There is a saddle. Yeah, we might be talking about the same one. There's a saddle that the TCAA had an exhibit. It was just a sale. Their yearly annual. It's a kind of like a museum quality sale in Oklahoma City, and there is, I believe, 4 or 5 top saddlers in the world that are in the TCA, Traditional Cowboy Arts Association. And they came together and they all built this one saddle. It's called the California Rose. It was auctioned off at this event at the TCAA annual exhibit, and it went for, I believe, $110,000.
Yeah, the one that we saw
At the hat store in Houston.
at the hat store in Houston was for the Texas Rangers bicentennial.
Wow.
And I don't know how many they made, but they were 150 each. So,
Interesting.
and I'm sure maybe it wasn't worth 150. Maybe that was part of the
donations,
donation and stuff.
values.
But in order to get that saddle, you had to donate 150,000.
Right.
So.
Interesting.
Like I say, it goes
It's
back
pretty
to
though.
everything.
It was pretty.
It goes back to everything there again.
Yeah.
If you are interested in getting into something, you could find, you could buy a pair of boots for $100, $200 bucks.
Yeah.
But if you start really diving into it and you're looking for the best of the best of the best, you're going to shell out a few pennies.
Yeah.
It's the same with
And
boots,
you're gonna
hats, clothing.
Wait time is a big thing when you're talking about custom stuff a lot of times. What about you? How kind of backed up are you? What's your wait time?
Well, it kind of depends, just because I'm not full time all the way. I try to work every night in the shop and just chip away. Try to chip away on the process. It can differ a little bit. I'm booked up pretty much for the rest of the year.
Okay.
Which is 3 or 4 months. But once that summer hits, because I do have summers off as a teacher and a coach, man, I'm full time in the shop.
Right.
I treat that as full time, and I can make a lot of products. Turnaround's really good. So it's hard, and I ask for patience from all my customers and say, hey, I'm not full time. I'm doing everything I can. I just ask for your patience. Sometimes I won't ask for a down payment. I'm saying, hey, I just need your patience. I'm gonna chip away this whenever I can. In the summertime, it's, hey, you ready to hit it? And then if they're like, yeah, then let's go.
There you go.
Okay. And so it kind of depends, but I'm booked up pretty good for the rest of the year. I think I have a couple Christmas spots I'll be able to take. So if you'd like that, let me know.
There you go. And tell them again, where can they find you if they want to place an order, if they want to look at some of your products, website, phone call? How do you?
Yeah, so website's the best. That's Firewater Custom Leather .com, firewatercustomleather.com, all lowercase.
And we'll put that in the stream.
Awesome, great. And you can go on there and go down, and you can actually message me through email. But also Instagram's great. If you see one that you like on Instagram, you can just send that to me on direct message. But anywhere pretty much that I have a profile, you can message me on there, and I'm fairly quick to message back, and we can start talking and even get your number, and we can start talking leather and start getting you something that is perfectly made for you, anything you want.
Okay. Lorena, remind me, and we'll put his all his contact information in the podcast.
Yeah, and they're saying the craft is well worth the wait.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe
I mean,
Appreciate that.
anytime you're getting something, handmade, custom made, it's worth the wait. Of course, everybody wants it and they want it now, but
Well, that's just part of the culture today with instant gratification on
well,
everything.
that's true too.
You can order stuff there again. Amazon, as great as it is, has ruined the world because now,
Hey,
if I can't
can't
have
wait.
something here in 2 days, I don't want it.
I got same day delivery.
Because you live in the city. I live in the sticks. We got to wait a couple days, sir.
Yes, I know.
We don't have Amazon trucks that come where I'm at.
Yeah,
They take it to the post office, and the post office still delivers in their own personal vehicles.
Wow.
Yes. Where is it? Was it Bowie that we saw the post office still had those old Jeeps? Do they still have those there? Or
The right-hand drive Jeeps?
Yeah.
They're awesome. Don't hate on those. I love driving those.
You very rarely see them anymore.
And their
Used-
standards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of post office got rid of those years ago, but there are still some. rural locations.
Is that a hard word for you, sir?
Yes, it is. I'm still stuck on the
Try
Spanish
saying
from
it in
earlier.
Spanish. Rural.
That might be easier for him.
It would probably be.
He's a little challenged.
Well, I have to deal with you. It's challenging.
Hey, I'm more autistic than I am artistic, and I've said it before. That's why I do hats and not leather.
Yeah.
Although I might have to get something made. Maybe I need to be a belt or
We can
something.
work on that.
Yeah.
Since you
I
were,
love-
talking bad about my belt that I wear,
I just said it's seen better days.
like everything else I own, because it's gonna hurt your heart to hear it. I've never conditioned it. I didn't know that was a thing. It just goes from pair of jeans to pair of jeans. That's it.
Yeah,
It gets
hear you.
unstrapped and strapped back in. That's it.
Oh, poor belt.
And how old is it?
At least 5 years, I think.
Impressive though. Even
Well,
then.
yeah, it's still
That's
lasts.
5 years of, there again, whether I'm going somewhere nice or whether I am working and abusing it, it's never ripped or anything. So I'll
Right.
give it that.
Well, it's funny because I don't mind spending money on boots and hats and certain types of clothing, but belts are something you maybe don't think about. Of course, I don't go to Kohl's and buy a $29 belt or $39 belt. I do buy American-made belts, but I just get off the rack type stuff.
Well, I think that's what this was. I don't know for sure if it's hand tooled or if
Mhm.
it's not. I don't know anything about this, but I didn't ask questions. It was given to me for some work that I did. I said, "Thank you, sir," and that was it.
Yeah.
So, it would be cool to have one. Obviously, I'm not good enough with money to negotiate, or not negotiate, but save up for that. So, I get it, and it's burning a hole in my pocket. So,
or your floor of your truck. If you guys don't know, when Connor's
my truck is a
when
pig
Connor's
pen.
truck was broken into in Houston, they took our backpack full of hat supplies and left all of the dollar bills that were all over Connor's floorboard.
That sounds really bad. Saying I have a bunch of dollar bills. So I'm going to defend myself. This is, there again, ADHD rant here. I'm going to defend myself. I make my money in tips. We know this. That's part of being a hat shaper.
as the stripper. I mean, yes.
That's why I'm defending myself. So most of my money I make comes in form of tips. So I buy a lot of things in cash. Well, when I get change, I don't know why, hundreds, 50s, 20s, 10s, and 5s go in this pocket. $1 bills all go in this pocket. So when
That's
I buy
way
food,
more
there's change.
ADHD than
I can't help it. I have to. I've got a stack of $50 in ones in this pocket right now.
Dance monkey tips, they say.
Basically, it's basically my tips. And so dollar bills, they just
right. You don't
find
like
their
dollars.
way around.
You don't like dollars.
No, because it's insignificant to me.
Oh my God.
I know it adds up. Shut up. I know it adds up. Like I said, I've got $50 worth of them right here. I've got enough laying in the floor of my truck to fill up my truck on the way home.
Yes, he gets in his truck and he's like, "Oh, that's $1. I don't need
He
that."
treats them like it's CV as receipts.
Yes,
it is.
Yes, it's
Exactly.
ridiculous.
But yet the change,
Really?
the change, pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters. Oh, I hoard them.
Throw them out the window.
I can't.
Dollars go on the floor. Quarters go out the window.
Well, my old boss, Cody Bates, said it best. You're stepping over dollars to pick up dimes.
That's true.
And
I
it's
got-
legitimately true. It's what I do every
I
day.
got questions here.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Please. Please.
Get us
Kyle,
back on track.
so you make purses, right? They were asking
Yes, I
about
have.
that.
I have made a couple purses. Yes.
Okay. And do you have plans to stock products for sale on the website, or is it almost all custom by request?
Good question.
Okay, so yeah, I have made purses, and I do have some purse orders. I enjoy making purses. You can really get very artistic with that, and so I do make purses. So if you'd like one, we can get going on that. And then as far as stock items, I've been blessed that I have so many custom orders that I'm just doing custom orders and stuff like that. Every now and then I'll make some stock items just to put on the website and stuff like that. But blessed enough that I'm staying super busy with custom orders, and that's what we're really focusing on and growing with. I have had some stores contact about putting some products into their stores. I just haven't had the time to do that. I'm blessed to be able to say that.
Yeah.
I've been working, and every time I get in the shop, I have something to work on. And
That's an awesome problem to have.
exactly,
Yeah,
it's a good
absolutely.
problem to have. But sometimes just you want to trigger your artistic side, or just try something that you haven't been able to do in a while. And
Right.
so, I mean, part of being a business owner of your own, you could do that. You can just say, you know
Yeah.
what, I'm gonna push this. While I'm working on these 2 belts, I'm gonna make this and see what happens. So occasionally, yes, but that's it.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Are Mrs. and Miss leather jackets out
Okay,
of the question?
So leather jackets.
Yeah.
As far as leather jackets, no. But if you're referring to the denim jackets that have on the back they have a tooled Mrs. Johnson or Mrs. Smith on the back, and that's either buck stitched or stitched. I've never made one before, but that would not be the hardest project to make. So that's definitely.
I don't think I've seen that. Is it just kind of go back on the yoke on the back?
Yes, on the back, either that or like the collar. I mean, not for a wedding, but like
Right.
I've seen them add it on the collar, or kind of the back. It'll say Mrs. Johnson, and it'll have floral around it, and then his will be the same kind of jacket, but it'll say Mr. Johnson, and it'll have his A&M logo or something like that on the back. So that's something definitely we can do. I haven't done it before, but it's I wouldn't think anything too crazy.
How about Apple Watch straps?
I have done one of those before. Man, you feel like you're going cross-eyed after working that
Really?
small on those on
can
the Apple
imagine
Watch
that.
bands. But I have made one of those before, and would be happy to make some of those as well. It's
I've seen them before. They're pretty.
they're pretty. They can get up there in price though.
I bet they
as
can.
far as you're paying for a watch band.
Well, that and
But,
it's
right?
you're paying for intricacy too on something that's small.
And
that
me
costs
going,
extra.
and me going cross-eyed for a little bit,
Right.
right? But it's they can be a really good addition to your wrist for sure.
Any more?
Does Kyle make any products that are not Western wear?
Not Western wear. If it's not Western wear, I've made of course graduation caps and stuff like that, but it's kind of Western entitlement.
Leather's kind of
Yeah.
Leather
kinda
is
Western.
leather.
Leather
yeah,
just
but
screams Western.
exactly. But I have kind of started a new branch on my tree of leatherwork of baseball belts. So
Okay.
something that when I was in college playing, they have the elastic belts that we all used when we were little. Well, the leather belts when I was in college, we had some at McMurray, and people would fight over them just because they felt better. They felt like they fit more to you, and they weren't low quality, and they kind of lasted the whole season, and they fit to you, and they felt good. So I've made some baseball belts, and they're customized 100% to you. And you can get your logo and laser engraved on there and stuff like that. And so I've made some baseball belts. I'd say other than that, leather's right, and exactly what Conor was saying.
it's Western.
Western, yeah.
Yeah. Well, how about duty belts for like police officers? You make it.
I've made a couple for firefighters,
Okay.
but they were just regular, very thick,
Right.
quality belts.
Okay.
Nothing to it. It was just a regular quality work belt.
And I'm assuming you could make a holster as well.
Okay, so on the holsters, I've never made a holster before because the reason is just liability. Liability. If Conor's walking around here and he has my holster and he pulls out his Glock and it misfires because it got caught on one of my straps,
Oh.
and now he says,
Okay, that's understandable.
Kyle, I just shot myself in the leg. Are you gonna pay for it? At that time I was small enough a business, and I
Right.
still am, where
Well, that makes
I just
sense.
didn't want to deal with that kind of
Right.
stuff.
I'd just go to Mexico at that point.
Same with
Sue me. I'll go to Mexico.
Same with weightlifting belts.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
They put a weightlifting belt on. I've had many people contact about weightlifting belts, and I'm confident in it that it would be fine. But someone throws their back out because they did too much weight, and
Well,
It's
it
not
could
really
be.
they blame my belt, and then now
Right.
I'm getting sued.
You're dealing with
and,
operator error on that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're only as you do the weakest link there is the end user.
Yes.
Right.
It's like that story from a long time ago, the lady that got a McDonald's coffee
Yes.
and then
yes.
was doing something stupid,
Bless her
spilled the
heart.
coffee, and then sued McDonald's because it was hot.
Well, she's the reason why now it says caution hot.
Yes.
And then she's
yes,
also
she
the
is.
reason you can't get a cup of coffee from McDonald's anymore.
Or ice cream.
No, that machine's broken. Somebody's paid
Yeah.
for that too, I'm
well,
sure.
I just watched a video on that. That's a whole another rabbit hole.
No, they just don't want to clean it.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, that's a conspiracy.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's tickle that tism.
Yeah.
shall
we
we?
can get into those.
Not
We'll
on
be
this.
online.
No. I might get sued by McDonald's.
He will. I won't. I'm gonna sit and listen.
No.
Go Google it. You'll find out all about it. Anyway, you have any more questions? We're gonna wrap it up here in a minute.
Well, just want to wrap it up. Any story or inspiration behind the name Firewater?
Okay, yeah,
that's a good question.
I didn't even think of that. So I'm a fair history nerd. I majored in history.
Social studies, yes.
Yeah,
So that
I
kinda
majored
comes
in
with the
history
territory.
at McMurray and criminology. But Firewater, you have Firewater. So back in the day, when there's westward expansion, Manifest Destiny, you had a lot of settlers coming over into lands of the unknown, right? And they started slowly trading with the Native Americans, right? They were trading with the Native Americans, and these settlers had alcohol, liquor,
Right.
right? They had liquor, and these Native Americans did not have liquor, so they were unfamiliar with that. But guess what? The settlers had? They had leather, they had hides, right? They had stuff like that, or the Native Americans
Right.
had hides and leather and all sorts of stuff to trade for that firewater. So, story of the firewater, the term firewater would be they would get the whiskey bottle from the settler, and they started to figure out that these settlers were starting to dilute the whiskey because they felt like it was more bang for the buck.
Right.
They can get more out of it, and these Native Americans started catching on to that, and so they would pour it over the fire right there at the barter. And when they would pour it over the fire, if the fire would quench and it would kind of go out, they knew it was bad whiskey. But if it would erupt in flames, then it was firewater.
Nice. I did not even
So,
know
yeah.
that.
So so leather in trade with firewater that impacted this nation.
Well, I knew what firewater was, but I didn't realize why they called it firewater. I just
Well, it's kind of like
it
goes back
burned?
to the story of where alcohol gets the proof
yes
from.
Yeah.
So, I there again, that stuff, just like you, maybe that's what it is. I don't know what it is, but that tickles my tism as well. And I'm
Yeah.
like, if I can learn the history behind something or
Exactly.
why it gets a name,
Yeah.
I have to know that stuff.
Yeah.
It holds no bearing in my life.
Right.
But if I left here tonight not knowing where that name came from,
Right.
it would eat at me.
Yeah.
I got one for you, Connor.
No, God, no. If you say what you texted me the other night after I left here, I swear
I don't know what it was.
I'm not going to say it.
Just before getting into that, check this out. In Spanish, we call it agua ardiente. And I was just going through that in my head because that means water that burns. So we call any type of alcohol, we call aguardiente, like in the olden days.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Interesting to think about. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then every order that I have, I'll send stickers with it and stuff like that, but also have it's a thank you note, but it also has the origin of the term firewater in there
Oh,
with
that's
it,
pretty
just to
cool.
educate people, just because I would be interested in that, and I am interested in it. So this is something
There you go. If you want to get one of those,
I'll tell you all about it.
tell you all
man.
about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty cool.
But let's bug Connor here real quick.
no.
So Connor, what's the origin story behind the mule kick? He's wearing a mule kick in his hat. So what's the origin story behind that? That's your job for next week.
Oh, God.
Frank, you're expected to come back with an answer.
Probably got kicked in the head by a mule. I guess,
The problem, what you just did is because I'm drinking this. I'm
How
drinking
is
it.
that stuff?
ranch fuel.
That's great.
You're
It's
gonna be-
amazing.
You're going to be
They
up
were
till like
asking
5
how
o'clock
it
in the morning.
was.
It's awesome. Like,
Okay.
I've had a few of these so far.
Right.
So, it says fuel your energy, but it says 0 sugar, natural caffeine, no artificial colors, real cowboy energy, 200 milligrams of caffeine.
So as with everything, we're testing it before we really talk about it. So Connor,
I'm happy to talk about it.
As you guys know, Connor has been talking about what's your go-to? It's been Red Bull, right?
I've drank Red Bull for a long time, but gives me the shakes, give me the jitters.
So I
It's-
got an email from
Ranch
these
fuel.
guys at Ranch Fuel, and they said, "Hey, we want to send you guys a case of the Ranch Fuel and let Connor try it and see what he thinks." So you've tried it this week, and we're going to hear more about it and what you think of it. What's your first impression, I guess?
Once again, I like the fact that it doesn't give me the jitters or the shakes. I had one the other day during our meeting,
Right.
and then came here after work,
Mhm.
and we filmed for a couple hours, whatever it was. I was good. Didn't get the shakes. Like I said, my anxiety, it didn't mess with me at all.
Right.
It doesn't.
I always think of that dog. You know, there's this.
Choose your next words carefully.
The Red Bull dog. You know. I'll send you the video of that.
But
I'll post it to
certain energy drinks,
Instagram.
they make my head feel jittery. Like they
Yeah.
make everything feel fuzzy, or they just jack me up in the head.
Okay.
They don't do anything for my body. They don't give
All
me energy. They give me energy here, but nowhere else. Whereas this is kind of backwards.
Really?
And I don't know if it's intended that way or if that's just the way it affects me.
Okay.
I don't get tired. Up here, I'm calm, cool, collected, but my body has the energy. I'm like, let's go. I'm good.
More
Whatever it is,
passion,
I can keep
more
going.
energy,
And I love
More
that.
passion.
More passion, more energy.
more
More
footwork.
You did that. Don't
Yes,
look at
I know.
us like that. Don't shake your head at us.
No, I'm looking at my notes.
Well, it's like and
That's
it's
your
also like
motto.
those caffeine pouches that you see me use too.
Yes.
That's why I like those as well, because I can have 1 or 2 of those a day and feel great without feeling
Okay.
crazy. You know, if we could just get
Hey.
them to start sending us stuff too.
If this will keep you coming in here and doing videos after working a full day at Jobys, that's fine.
And being able to make the long drive home.
Yes.
Because some days that drive is long when
Yep.
we shut down at midnight here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right.
That's called
You-
dedication, sir.
It is. Do you have any more questions to let Anna?
I have Haven Hancock here. She says, "Hey Kyle, it's Haven."
Okay, that's my cousin. So
Hey, Haven.
Okay.
Thanks for watching.
Hello.
thanks for watching.
Kyle, we
That's
want to
all.
thank you for coming in tonight. It's been a pleasure talking to you and learning kind of about hand-tooled leather. And I know I've learned some things. And tell them one last time where they can find your products if they are just tuning in or if they're just catching this. Where can they find you?
Right, of course. So you can go onto my website, firewatercustomleather.com. If you put in the search engine anywhere, either on Google or Instagram or Facebook, Firewater Custom Leather, even Firewater Leather, it should pop up. We're a one-man shop out of Ennis, Texas, and it shouldn't be hard to find if you go in Google. So go ahead and message us. We can get your custom order on the books.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. And that's going to about do it for us, guys. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to be back here next Sunday, and we're going to be giving away that 100X American hat. So make sure you stay tuned. If you're not in the giveaway yet, check us out, cowboycartelgroup.com/giveaway. And good luck. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a good evening.
Thanks for watching.